Major Mohammed Ali Shah, defense expert, is joining us this morning. Ali, good morning to you, if you can hear me.
Yes, Vineet. Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Better after hearing and seeing you, Ali. But the big question is that it's not good at all in Ukraine at this point in time. Sanctions worth billions of dollars have been put on Russia. Weapons worth billions of dollars have been given to Ukraine by joining countries and NATO members. And yet, there are these murmurs, there are these whispers in the power corridors of a peace deal being struck. Are we supposed to buy that?
Of course, we can buy that, Vineet. We can, because peace should prevail, and hope is something that we all thrive on. We live on that, we survive on that, and hope keeps us going. But if one has to be realistic, Vineet, I'll give you an example of the India-China talks. China has been misbehaving with us. There have been 15 rounds of talks, but nothing has been achieved so far. But yes, we are still hopeful, and we are going ahead with talks. Similarly, we can only be hopeful. We cannot have a pessimist or negative mindset, nothing is going to come out of it. I hope something really comes out. At the same time, Vineet, at the International Court of Justice, Indian Judge Justice Bhandari, in fact, he voted against Russia, against Russian aggression over there, much to the opposite of what the stand of the Indian government, which is fine, which is well in his right, that's his individual take. And now when he was an Indian judge, but he is entitled and he has a right of imparting justice as to what he deems fit without being pressurized by any government or anyone. It's perfectly fine. Now when the International Court of Justice actually comes in and steps in, but the golden question is, will Russia be affected by it? Because it's like, somebody who is who's incorrigible, who is not being affected, who is totally cleared and is not being affected by any sanctions, is not being affected by any consequences, who is being threatened by direct consequences, but is not showing any effect of being threatened at all. It's showing that, okay, doesn't affect that person at all. Now, will that be affected? Now, if you take human psychology, Vineet, you and I, supposing if there is tension between two people as well, two strangers, complete strangers, a road rage I'm talking about, they would be stressed. Nobody likes it. So, be it President Putin, be it President Zelensky, no one likes it. Though President Zelensky has been playing a very good psychological warfare, I must say, I must commend him for that. There's a lot of information warfare also going on, and of course the Western media is stronger than the Russian media, and many things are not come out.
Ali, I hate to stop you, but some breaking news being flashed here on our screens as well. The Russian armed forces have launched a missile attack on military facilities in Sarny, Rivne region, and Russians are targeting a military infrastructure. And this is a city located about 60 kilometers from Belarus-Russian border. Well, yes, you did talk about that, Judge. You did talk about the stance that India also took on Russia. They are absolutely different. You're also hailing, Ali, the kind of character and the kind of bravado that Zelensky has shown. But if it all boils down to him not being a part of NATO and not showing interest in the EU, then all these lives and all these sacrifices mean nothing. They count for zilch, Ali, because you ended up doing what Russia wanted.
You are absolutely right, Vineet. You are in this entire stretch of taking on the war for 3 weeks and then getting so many people killed, and then ultimately going back to what Russia ultimately wanted. And one more thing, if you observe it, it is definitely, just about less than a week back, President Zelensky had given the statement that, okay, we do not want membership of NATO anymore. And so we all thought that the war will stop now, because now he has agreed to his term. What if he had said this 2 weeks back from the day he said that? Then this wouldn't have ever occurred. But despite him giving that statement, Vineet, if you see, the war is still going on, and though both of the parties are there saying, okay, let's talk. So what is it going to prove? It goes to prove that no, that may not have been the reason. Secondly, it also goes to prove that Russia is putting forward more and more demands. And let me tell you, the longer time President Zelensky and President Putin take to actually come to a logical conclusion of this, Russia is going to place more demands ultimately.
And Ali, there is also this, it's not a notion actually, there is also this fact that so far we have only gotten to see the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Russian onslaught and Russian power. It's a nuclear power, it has more nuclear warheads, more weaponry than the United States, And what we are seeing right now is just a precursor, it's just a trailer to the depth of, the war that Russia can engage in.
Absolutely, Vineet. 13,000 nuclear weapons around the world. 9 countries possess nuclear weapons, out of which 5 countries have intercontinental ballistic missiles. Russia, US, India, in fact, is very proudly we can say that India is one of them. And the range of an intercontinental ballistic missile is 3,600 miles. That's about 5,500 plus kilometers. So you can imagine, and Russia certainly has that. And Russia has threatened US with nuclear weapons as well earlier. And these threats should not be taken as empty threats. Of course, you are right when you say that Russia hasn't used all their might. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of strategists, there are a lot of analysts who say that, well, it was a game plan of Russia, their military exercises last for 35 days and Russia hasn't put all the cards on the tables. No, I slightly differ from there. I say Russia actually, the moment they went in for the attack,
Ali, we are also talking about how France is basically condemning Russia, saying that this negotiation process that's going on between these two countries is just a charade. There's nothing going on here. Ali, a sensitive topic like, Ukraine getting weaponry from some of the Eastern European countries and Putin getting, weaponry and money from China at this point in time. Isn't that signaling towards this problem only going, beyond what it was supposed to be?
100%, Vineet, definitely, and it's becoming...
And Ali, the big question, would Russia actually consider all these countries helping Ukraine also a part of the war?
In a way, yes. Indirectly, yes. Of course, at the moment a country helps directly or indirectly, that person is already involved. So a war, a country being involved is not necessarily coming on the ground and fighting with weaponry. Like for example, Ukraine also has accused Russia for using non-military weapons which are not that destructive for military but are more destructive for civilians. Now, frankly speaking, as a soldier, I do not understand what a non-military weapon would be. Supposing there's an enemy on my doorstep, would I wait for only to fire my issued AK-47 and then hunt the enemy down? Or do I just use whatever stones or if I have a sword? A weapon is a weapon, is plain and simple. But be it a ballistic missile, be it an air raid, be it an AK-47, be it a 9mm pistol. So I don't understand the fact when they say they are using non-militarized weapons to strike on civilians. But secondly, again, if I have to be fair to even to Russians for that matter, what if civilians who have got arms now, who were not soldiers earlier, what if they attack the military of any country? Isn't the military supposed to retaliate and react back? What if the rebels, now I would call them rebels, have got weapons, and if they're hiding in hospitals, schools, and they are taking refuge and shelter over there, then what could be the other army do? Just being fair on both sides, Vineet. Now, of course, a lot of bloodshed has happened in Ukraine especially, and both the sides have suffered casualty, and both the sides are trying to minimize and hide their casualty, and they are projecting a larger-than-life image. And no one is a hero like President Zelensky.
Ali, another bit of breaking news being flashed on our screen. Now, Canada is also closing its airspace to Belarus. Now, this is a new and a worrying development. Belarus, that has been extremely supportive of Russia, is paying the price for, aligning with Russia.
Absolutely. See, Belarus, and in fact, most of the tanks which came into Ukraine, all of them are from Belarus. It is the BMPs, which look like tanks, which are not tanks, where the infantry, the mechanized infantry sits in those tanks and they enter. The BMPs are Russian. They came from Russia. And also the Belarus had opened the gates completely for the Russian troops to come in and invade Ukraine for that matter. So now when Canada actually closes its airspace, in a way they've put sanctions as well, that no Belarus people are going to use our airspace, which was expected actually. It's not that alarming or worrying. It was expected that anyone who supports Russia there, after countries would get involved directly or indirectly by applying sanctions, or they will not step into the war directly. But yes, and I had foreseen it coming. I knew that countries which are supporting Russia, Belarus, North Korea, these countries are, and China is being very smart. China supports Russia 100%, but will play it very covert. They will hide and then support. They are known for that. They of playing the tricks. So yes, when coming back to your this thing, when to your question, when China has closed airspace for Belarus, they are well within the right, and it is perfectly fine, and it's okay.
Okay, Mohammed Ali Shah says it's okay for Canada to close its airspace to Belarus.